You are watching Life on Gabriola TV, community television, for you, by you.
But really, I got super excited when we started to talk about putting action on the ground. And what I was most excited about is how people were thinking quite radically and willing to do things that are going to really shift the markers. So I'm really, really pleased to have joined a group of 60 odd people that help make me feel less alone in the climate action battle.
Hello, I'm Lisa Webster, a volunteer with the Life on Gabriola Media Society. And today I'm here to interview Shelagh Huston about her Living into the Earth Emergency workshop that she's recently completed on Gabriola. So Shelagh, I will get you to introduce yourself the way that you would like to and tell us a little bit about what this project is that you've just completed.
Well, I'm Shelagh Huston. I've lived on Gabriola for over 30 years now. And in fact, I've been a Salish Sea Islander since the 60s, so I'm really an island girl. I just invented this course. I had a felt need myself to deal with all of the stuff that's going wrong in the world. You know, a lot of us have that sense of, this is not going the right way. All kinds of things are not the way they should be, particularly climate change, but that's not the only piece of it. And I felt like there's probably a lot of other people who had that same need to maybe learn a bit more, maybe understand a bit more, but more particularly to gather and come together and think about it, talk about it, feel about it, deal with your feelings, not just your thoughts. So I invented a 9-week course and invited people to join.
Oh, perfect.
But it turned out that my intuition that I wasn't the only one who needed to gather and talk turned out to be true, and people just showed up with a lot of enthusiasm.
Now, this is not a traditional course. You weren't necessarily a traditional teacher. Is that correct? Like, how is this structured?
Yeah, that's right. So we followed a format called the flipped classroom, which has been thought of before, where instead of being what they call the sage on the stage, the lecturer who gives you the information, you become the guide on the side who helps people deal with the information. So the flip is that you give people information that they can learn from, read, watch, whatever, outside of the classroom or the gathering. And then when they come together, they talk about what do they think about this? What do they feel about this?
Was there a particular focus or topic that you really wanted to get into? Or was it really what individuals brought forward?
Well, I certainly gave them enough material to begin with. And the 9 weeks was had a flow to it, so that they built each week built on the previous week. We started off just with how are we going to do this and how are we going to be together. So we set up a kind of a group agreement of how we would discuss things and how we would treat each other. And the second week we started into what's going on in the world. And one of the things I did is produce a little brochure, and I'm picking it up right now because it's got the list of the course contents. And the first week was starting where we are. The second is where the world is now, what's actually happening. And then we went into the futures, what can't happen, what might happen, what probably is going to happen, whether we like it or not. And then we did a week looking back. How did we get here? What are the causes of this situation? And then we went into how do things change? how does change happen? What needs to change? How might we change? So we're gradually going from what is going on into how do we want to go forward? So then we went into the world we want and the island we want, sort of being more general and then more specific. So tell us about your thinking about
Well, I'll just set the scene, if you like. For some time, the Aggie Co-op has dreamed of having a co-op store where farmers' produce can be sold. That would be open 6 days a week. You always know that you can go to the store and there might not be the same stuff there all the time.
So, this is seasonal then, it's just sort of
No,
summer.
that would be year round.
So where's the produce?
Well-
We don't grow that much in the winter.
But we can
Create
grow
plastic
more.
houses, plastic.
Yeah, greenhouses and things like Brussels sprouts and canned.
So with the produce that we would be producing, would the store then branch out into having like a real co-op? So you would have like canned food or not that we would be canning the food, but would it expand to that kind of thing? Like I think of the co-op we have on Sointula, and I mean it's an amazing co-op with all, you know, they have produce and it's like a store.
So it built from the specific realities into visions and plans. Another piece that I think really helped the whole process was that we had a meal with every single class. So we'd meet for an hour, we'd eat for half an hour, and then we'd meet for another hour. And people volunteered the cooking, and so we had a lot of help all the way around with volunteer stuff, but the cooking and the food particularly. And then people had a chance to just sit down together and eat and talk about whatever. And often it was the class topics, but sometimes it was comparing grandchildren or whatever. And that really helped to bond people and to make it just feel human scale and comfortable.
It sounds like it's a little bit of a replacement for what we used to do. Community dances or, picnics or community events. We seem to have those sliding off, whereas something like this could reinvigorate that sense of
People
community.
did say that. People said that's exactly what it was. And one of the things when we talked about what do we want in our future was we want to do more singing and dancing. We want to do more hanging out and being together. And this had reminded them. And several people pointed out that we sort of lost some of that with COVID and we hadn't really regathered and reset it. And this had that benefit too. I also think that it's something that could be duplicated. Other communities could very easily do something of the same sort and focus it on their specific issues. And most of what we talked about would face everybody. But we did spend some time focusing it particularly when it comes down to what do we need to do or what can we do. That became much more local, and another community would focus it their way. So I think that's a possibility that I certainly think that I and everybody who was part of it would recommend any community just get together and talk. You need to do this.
Be the change that you want to see in the world. This is a call to action. Our future depends on what we do today. If we say nothing, then guess what? No one will listen.
Well, basically, you're looking for your name and how you got involved with the project, as well as what you got out of it, and what you think as Gabriolans what we can do to help manage or fight climate change. So,
Okay.
Okay.
Good. I am actually a long-time climate activist, so I did it for a career. In the 90s, I started in 1993, as a climate activist. And so I became quite discouraged and probably apathetic even. And so being able to join a group on Gabriola just to talk about that, at first I was pretty skeptical. I thought to myself, ugh, I don't want to talk about the doom and the gloom anymore because we're doomed. It's gloomy, we're doomed. And but really I got super excited when we started to talk about putting action on the ground. And what I was most excited about is how people were thinking quite radically and willing to do things that are going to really shift the markers, and that we could work together as a group. And I felt less alone. So I'm really, really pleased to have joined a group of 60 odd people that help make me feel less alone in the climate action battle.
Excellent.
There is a place in me where this situation we're in, climate-wise on the planet, feels really overwhelming as an individual. It seems like the small efforts that I make on my own, what could they possibly do to mitigate really anything? But when I look at what we can do as community, and it seemed in this particular gathering over 9 weeks, no matter what subject we tackled, no matter how complex and daunting it seemed, we always ended up at a place where really the only thing we can do is be present with each other and work together. Single strands don't have any strength, but when we're woven together like a community rope that's both strong and flexible, my faith in what we have in terms of our resources, both internally and collectively, was really strengthened by this whole process.
The way the topics were we started general and then moved into more specific, and then what's happening on Gabriola, and then what we can do on Gabriola, what's being done, what we can do, and then going forward. So it was extremely well organized, very impressive. And just take a look at the website and you can see how well organized that is. And I've been part for 2 or 3 years now of Climate 12, which is a sustainable Gabriola initiative to work on climate solutions right here on the island. Local impacts, local solutions is our kind of tagline. And this kind of meshes right in with that. And so we'll be working in concert with a bunch of us on some real local climate solutions.
As I began the course and tried to communicate why I was here, it was the overriding grief that kept it was overwhelming. And so the course took us on a journey of really great academic and history of how we got where we are now in terms of climate change and climate crisis, and some great information about how we can do something about it.
Walking today in the 707 and thinking about water and thinking about how we need to hold some water for public use. We save water in our houses. We don't have a well and we just gather water. And that's an important feature of what we do here, and helping other people to learn how to do that, and finding that there's a resource we can all use together is, I think, key to how we might manage what goes ahead. So for the sake of my grandchildren, I want to be part of that.
Over 9 weeks, it's just amazing to have an opportunity to not only break silence with people who are ready to step up and face, okay, what is going on? What are the factors behind this? How do we intelligently and compassionately move into a posture where we're responding in a way that is going to heal ourselves as a community and at the same time heal the climate, heal the earth. So we took this lofty, big, challenging thing and we made it both personal and intimate. And we formed these incredible bonds, and that's why I hope it becomes a model for other communities, because we got to start this way. We're not going to change and heal the climate with great big actions, except by starting locally and building and networking from there and scaling up. But it's the reconstituting ourselves as a community that feel that we are part of this environment and have a responsibility. That's the big thing this course has accomplished.
So I'm representing the Thursday group. Go Thursday. I've known Sheila pretty well since I moved to Gabriola in 2013. She's been here a lot longer. We share a spiritual vocation, and I don't know how many times you told me as this course was in preparation, when you were working on it, and even during the course, I was called to this. I had to do it. There was nothing else I could do but do this course. And boy, did she do this course. I was amazed every week with the materials she had produced for us to learn from. I was amazed at her energy, the time commitment, the dedication to each one of us. I mean, you became, I think, a mentor and a friend, and I'm feeling quite emotional about this, because who knew we would all stick it out for 9 weeks? I mean, we did. And I just, on behalf of Thursday Night, wish to offer our gratitude and thanks for your commitment to this, for guiding us through it, for acknowledging our fear, for giving us tools to move forward and come together as a community and go local. So thank you.
Yes. I used to belong to a group years ago called Short and Sweet. We were all about this kind of just in general, all of the people, I learned a new word. I think it's a Hokuminum word, chamas. I may not be pronouncing it right. Most of my Hokuminum is terrible, but it basically means treats, like sweet treats, savory treats, anything that people brought. And we had lots of good chamas, and lots of people brought it. And I'm just going to say a general thank you, not just to the chefs, but to the goodies and chamas makers and bringers. Thank you very, very much. And I especially want to thank friends who supported me, family who supported me through this time, because there were times when I was sort of a little bit falling apart and needing some help and support, and I got all of it. And I particularly and especially want to thank my dear husband, David, who put up with an
Be the change that you want to see in the world. This is a call to action. Our future depends on what we do today. If we say nothing, then guess what? No one will listen. We can't afford to pretend it's gonna be okay anymore. So stand up for what you believe in and let your voice be heard. Stand up for what you believe in and let the truth in your words create a song. A song that's worth singing, a chain reaction to another song.